But that's the essence of the argument or request this evening is, can we do a distillery on this property as an added use? So, looking at the land use plan, it is in the red area, which is commercial, so it complies with the land use plan. Looking at zoning, to the south we have R1, which is a cemetery. East and west we have straight B1. East we also have a B1 PUD. To the north, general business B2, a B2 PUD, and an MU PUD. So there's a mixed mash of commercial in that area. The property in 2004 was rezoned to a B1 PUD underneath 2709 trustee resolution that allowed all of the B1 uses plus a warehouse storage use. Since a distillery is not part of the current stage 1 approval, that's why it's here this evening for modification in the new stage 1. The B1 doesn't exist anymore because now we have classifications of non-residential planned unit development or residential planned unit development. So that is the other modification for this evening. This is the site plan that was submitted by the application, by the applicants. Again, the building, this is the building that is a 2-store that will be converted into a single structure for the purpose of the distillery. The applicant will talk a little bit more about that when it comes to this time. Parking in the front, future parking in the rear, future warehouse underneath the current stage 1 approval, and the leach field and green space. This is the design that the applicant will talk about, the internal workings. Probably better than I could, so I'll leave it for him. And then, of course, I just updated with, if you want to know all the different square footages. The long and the short of this is that the request at stage 1 would meet the minimum 25% open space in this green space area exclusive of the warehouse and future parking. So, everything else is existing is what is continuing on the site. When Warren County Regional Planning looked at this, they recommended approval. Again, Brett Scott is the property owner. Matt and Jim Agnew are the applicants. They're the ones who are wanting to do the distillery, so they'll be speaking this evening. The Zoning Commission looked at that. They also approved it using Trustee Resolution 2709 as a basis for the condition, and they added the word brew pub onto the request. So what you have this evening in front of you is 5222, which is 2709 with one modification, which is number 8, with the brew pub is permitted. So that is staff's element of tonight. I can answer questions of the board before I turn it over to the applicant.
If I have any questions for Mr. Palmer at this time? Could you identify those buildings, what's in there now, the businesses?
Yeah, this is BJ's Garage. This is an Allstate, used to be Dad's Gun Shop. And this is a vape store, which used to be a chiropractor and a tattoo parlor. It's gone through various uses through time. But this is currently vacant use. Its most recent looks like a video bookstore tenant. So since 2004, there's been various property or vendors, so to speak, that have gone through there, but the applicant has never taken it to a stage 2 to actually actualize the warehouse function that was approved in the 2004 approval. So this truly is to bring it back, add a use, and then it would move forward with the new set of conditions.
Okay, any other questions? I don't have any. I've read through it. Have any objection to it? In fact, I think it's good use.
Yeah, Matt Agnew does have a presentation.
Sure.
If you're ready for him, sir.
Yes, Matt, if you would, please go right ahead.
Are you ready?
Hey.
Okay.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah. Is you able to hear me okay? Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Okay, great. And if there's anyone in the meeting room there that does have a question, it sounded like it was a little faint, so Jeff, you may have to repeat the question if there was any. So.
Can do.
Okay, great. All right, thank you all. I appreciate you taking the time to meet with us. So we've got a presentation to show you here, and excited to get this started. So I will go ahead and share my screen. Oh, let's see. Yeah.
Okay, you should be able to share now.
Okay. All right, and then let me me know as soon as everyone can see the screen.
We're good.
Okay. All right, great. So yes, as Jeff introduced us here, we are looking to have both of these buildings turned into our distillery and office space. The goal of each building we'll get into here during this presentation. Sorry. There we go. All right, so just a quick introduction here. My name is Matt Agnew. I grew up in Waynesville, went to school at Miami University. I currently work as a project manager for Cintas in Mason for the last 8 years. I live in Centerville right now with my wife Amanda and 2-year-old son Killian. So as you can tell, we've called this area for home for my entire life, and also my brother's here. And we're really excited to try and bring our future and keep our future here in this area as well. And I will apologize in advance if you happen to see a soccer ball go flying by. My 2-year-old son we're in a small apartment, and he's currently figuring out how to throw things. So it's been fun doing video conferences with my day-to-day job anyway. So, but with that said, I'll turn it over and let my brother introduce himself.
Yeah, yes, sir. So yeah, my name is Jim Agnew. I'm the younger of the two of us. My parents also call me the favorite. But I grew up in Waynesville as well, spent my whole life there, and graduated in 2008. And I started attending the Art Institute of Cincinnati, Ohio for culinary arts. Spent about 8 years working in that industry before I actually moved to the project management world, where I now work for a payroll company in Norwood called Paycor. And I'm still currently living in Waynesville, actually, with my girlfriend, Lisa, and her 7-year-old son.
All right, so what we're actually trying to propose here is a distillery sometimes has some vagueness around it, so really trying to dig into the details and let you know what we're bringing here. This is going to be a distillery, and we're going to specialize in small batch moonshine and pre-made cocktails featuring our recipes. So fortunately, having my brother have a culinary background will hopefully come into play. So there's going to also be a retail space for various products aside from our distilled spirits. So kind of like when if you walk into other breweries, they sell T-shirts, have some other retail items that promotes their product. That's also what we're going to have in our facility. Some of these products are going to include handcraft wood signs, various things on them, clothing, glassware, anything featuring and promoting our logo and brand. Some of the things you might think of that you would want maybe in your home bar, your home man cave, things like that. Although we're not going to have a bar within our facility, the State Department does allow for a small tasting room where patrons can sample up to essentially what equates to 4 quarter-ounce, 1 full shot total of our product. And we're allowed to have that without going through all of the bar licensing and other alcohol permits that we need there. So that way patrons can actually taste what they're buying before they buy it. So why we wanted to do this location, as we kind of already mentioned, we're from this area. We haven't ventured very far from this area. Our entire family is located between really probably Monroe and Dayton. So opening up a craft spirits distillery here in Clear Creek Township, aside from the family aspect and where we call home, we want to offer this area kind of something unique that's not available. The microbreweries, they've kind of popped up in quite a few places, but there's nothing like what we're wanting to bring to this area. Another thing that caught our eye actually a few years ago when we were planning to do this really was the exterior of this building is already modeled after the look we want. That old-time, early 1900s feel. This is going to allow us to put more of our investment money into distribution and the product itself, because although we're going to have to do some renovations within the building, the outside is going to really require minimal work to get it to how we want it to look, because it already has that core base built into it. So that was something unique that really was just too good to be true with what we're trying to bring. Also, as a small batch facility, we don't need a lot of space to achieve our distribution and growth plan. So really the current space as it stands is going to be sufficient for quite a bit of growth for us. It's a little different than what you would see in like a, and I'm using Jack Daniels, they're obviously a very large company, but a whiskey brewery, a distillery, places like that where they need to age their product in oak barrels, so they need a large warehouse, a large facility to make that happen. We don't. Once our product will come out of the stills, it's bottled and labeled right there, and either kept in-house for retail or sent to the state warehouse where it would be kept and distributed there. So the facility was really not just the look, but the size was perfect for us. We also want to, as Jeff had mentioned, some of these stores have seen quite a bit of turnover throughout the years, and we really want to bring a staple here, a reliable, stable business to this area. Working with Brett Scott, who's again the landlord there, he was excited to hear what we had to bring, and also kind of shares that vision of really having something that's going to stay and bring a lot of business to this area. Finally, too, and unfortunately, with everything going on throughout this pandemic, alcohol is crisis proof. As you're all maybe aware, alcohol sales have actually jumped through the roof. I saw somewhere 58% of alcohol sales have increased during the last few months. So this is something that isn't going to, I guess, be shaken easily. So it's a reliable business that I think will really help bring something to this area. Again, we grew up in this area. We know this area well. Don't plan on moving anywhere, and we would love to keep our passion and livelihood rooted in this area. Going on, what we want to do that's going to be different than just hey, we're going to make alcohol and put it on some shelves and sell it. We want this to be a destination. I don't know how many of you have ever been to other spirit distilleries before, but there's something unique at the places that do it right. There's something unique that makes you want to drive 1 hour, 2 hours to go see this, and that's what we want. We don't want this to be your standard retail shop. So along with what we're very confident in having is a superior product, we also want to have patrons learn about our process. People are fascinated with doing tours. It's almost like when you go to a pizza place and you get to watch how they make their pizza. It's something that kind of draws you into it. That's unique. You get to see something. A lot of the good distilleries do this, and that's what we plan on doing. But what we want to do differently too is also really get into how this process has evolved throughout American history. From backwoods, in Appalachia, to hopefully Cedar Creek Township's first distillery, and show that progression throughout American history, kind of bringing some of that history and respect back to why people even started doing this, why they started making moonshine. So we want to really educate the person and make it a full immersive experience. So you're not just walking in, grabbing something and heading out. What we do want to do a little bit differently. A lot of people have heard or asked us, oh, you just want to do maybe a speakeasy or something. We want to do something different. We want to show kind of both sides of that law. Here's why people did this, but here's also what they were risking if they got caught. We wanted to, kind of like those old Western photos that you might see at Gatlinburg that I'm sure everyone has done at some point with the family and everyone gets to dress up. We plan to have some type of photo area where people can take pictures, almost kind of like a jail cell. If people got caught, this is what they were risking, and kind of make it a little bit unique for people to take those photos and learn from. We actually have some really interesting. My brother was able to pull some really interesting stuff from the Prohibition area. So we've got a lot of good information to show people. I mean, from ID cards. want to kind of show both of those sides of the law, and again, just make it more of an experience. How we plan to do that? So currently what you'll see, this left picture is both buildings. The green is the building on the right, and the gray area obviously on the left, but that's what separates the two. That's the current layout. The picture on the right, which is similar to what Jeff had shown earlier, is kind of how we want to change this. Again, the good thing is that we are not changing anything from a load-bearing structure standpoint. We're going to be doing all of our work on some of the interior false walls that are already currently up, without really doing any layout changes, especially to the outside, aside from putting out some signs or displays. So what we are going to do is, again, because it's moonshine and we don't need a lot of the space in the back area, is on the right. Those blue barrels are going to be kind of our mash tubs. Those four items just above that line going across, those are going to be our stills. So again, we're going to be focusing on a small batch facility because one, the product is going to be better. We're not, obviously we're in this to make money, but we're also in this to have a superior product, which is unique to this industry because a lot of people are just trying to pump out the product, and we're going to stay with a small batch, so it's going to be a slower cook. It's going to produce a better, cleaner product, and ultimately I think move us to the top of the list of this industry. We are also going to use some of the areas there. You'll see this is kind of just a video diagram there, but two offices, room for storage, and then in front, on the bottom right of this area, kind of in between those yellow walls, and you'll see the jail cell there in the middle. That's going to be the retail store. And again, we're still playing around with how we want that layout to look. But essentially, both of these buildings are going to be perfect for what we need: office space, retail, and use the back for the actual distillery itself, where you'll be able to come in and see how we do this, and also buy some unique, really cool gifts when you leave. So, and again, please, if anyone has any questions while I'm going through this, let me know. So some of the stuff that you all are really going to care about is how we're going to be doing this and who we talk to. This is kind of our operational overview here. Right now, we're planning on being open every day, but Sundays and Mondays. We're looking into being able to be open on Sundays as well, because as you all know, 73 is a huge traffic spot heading to the lake for various festivals. So being open on Sunday would be ideal. That's a different license that we're actually meeting with our legal team on this week to discuss being able to be open there on Sundays as well. But our expected foot traffic is within the ODOT parameters for the roadway on 73 leading into our facility, because what they had instructed us on was that as long as there are not more than 60 cars coming in and out per hour, which again, that would be a great problem to have, and I hope we get there very soon. You don't need to be able to, or you don't need to change any of the entranceways, the roadways, anything like that. We currently have sufficient parking spots, and how we're going to be doing our water delivery is we're actually going to be getting the spring water there from Waynesville and transporting it. We're going to have an on-site water tank that we'll be using. So truly most of our products are even going to be sourced from this local area. Again, some of the agencies we've contacted and have provided their feedback and sign off: the Ohio Department of Transportation, the Warren County Health Department, along with their Environmental Impact Division. We're not going to be selling any food, so they really didn't have any issues with what we were doing. We're also not going to be having any waste outside of standard water runoff. So what the leftover mash that we're going to be doing, which is essentially just the corn that's left over, we worked with some local farmers that are friends of ours. They're going to be picking it up, or we're going to be dropping it off, and they're going to be using it as feed for their animals. So there is really going to be no waste coming out of our facility, again, aside from standard water runoff. and then the Warren County Building Department. Since we're not planning to alter the physical structure itself, again, not changing any of the load bearing, what we're doing is just working to complete an architecture design of what we're doing within the building, mainly from an electrical standpoint. We have contractors that we've already had on site, discussed with, they understand the plans we want to do. So now we just need to have an architect kind of complete how we're going to rerun some of the electric and then have an engineer sign off. But that doesn't pertain to the Warren County Building Department since they were good with what we were trying to do from a structural standpoint. So getting into some of our production details, we're going to be again running 4 26-gallon stills. We're going to have another smaller one for trying out new flavors, new products. We estimate producing, which is about 1,700 gallons in the first year, and these bottles will be your standard 750 milliliter size that you would find at most liquor stores. We're going to be growing the various sizes and products, but that's what we're mainly going to be focusing on. We'll have 4 unique initial flavors, the traditional straight corn, a blue thunder is what we're kind of calling it, which is going to be like a blue raspberry, pickle and coffee. Again, we want to grow that suite of products, but that's what we would like to start with. And then we also want to offer something that's it's actually been booming throughout the country, but in most places, and especially in this area, do not offer it yet, which is going to be pre-made cocktails. So again, since we're not going to have a bar, we would like to feature our product in as many ways as we can to kind of shake off that feeling that moonshine is, oh, it's ethanol, right? It's garbage. It's just, yeah, you drink this if you want to have something that's high proof and not going to taste very well. We want to put our stuff in these various cocktails, with the understanding that most people aren't going to want to maybe necessarily drink it straight from the bottle. And it's also one of the largest growing areas within the alcohol industry in the entire country. From 2018 to 19, there was a 37% jump in pre-made cocktail sales, which equated to be about $330 million, I believe. So it's an area that is just starting to get tapped into that we really want to hopefully be on the leading front on. And finally here, I promise hopefully it hasn't been too boring, we've only got a slide or 2 left, but this is just something we wanted to show how much we've done our research on, right? My brother and I, we're not just two guys that would think this is cool for us to open up a distillery and make a few dollars on. This is something we've been researching and looking into for the last few years, and we're taking it very seriously because if anyone knows my brother and I, our work is our reputation, and we've both had full-time jobs since we were old enough to have a full-time job, which 15 at 15 we started landscaping and doing various things. So we're taking this very serious, and we want to let you all know that again, we plan to stay here and really grow. This is actually, as you can see, Ohio likes to drink, and these maps kind of show our future growth plan just for distribution. So retail sales is going to be huge. The long-term approach is going to be able to grow outside of Ohio into a solid distribution strategy. And we've worked with various people on the best way to go about doing that, kind of setting up those relationships and getting ready for us to get to that point. So kind of our 5-year growth plan and distribution. Again, you'll notice that it's just focused on Ohio. We do want to get into other states, but that is something that we're working with our legal team to understand the different challenges that each state presents. So focusing on Ohio while in parallel running with how we want to get into other states is going to be happening at the same time. So we're really excited about this. This shows that there are 406 registered liquor stores in Ohio. Plenty of opportunity there for distribution and growth. Then what we do want to show you is just some concept ideas of our logo and how we want to label our bottle. We've been working with an exciting digital marketing group and we've kind of conveyed what we want to do. So our distillery name is the Fighting Brothers Distillery. Obviously, this is my brother, and most people that know us know we're as competitive as you could possibly get. My wife, God love her, she refuses to play board games with us anymore. So we take everything pretty serious, and him and I have been known to probably square up over a game of checkers a time or two. So we thought that was also a unique name that is again just going to draw some online searches and at least people wanting to come in and see this. This is kind of the logo that we're going with, again, just kind of representing my brother and I. And this is a rough logo. We're going to be cleaning this up. This is going to be kind of how we're going to have our label on our bottle. Again, it's a work in progress. Just kind of showing you we're from Ohio, and we're the Fighting Brothers Distillery. We're going to really hit this off with moonshine and then grow into various other products too. And then again, just kind of a sample. The bottle is going to be a little different, but just from a concept standpoint, you'll see how the label would fit on there and just some of the other products we would like to offer. And then I had this in you, but you've already all seen this, so just the property that we're going to be focused on. So with that said, hopefully everyone is as excited as we are to get this going. But I turn it back over to you.
All right. Okay. You have any questions?
Yeah. Matt, can you talk to me about your experience and background in this? What oversight is there? Who watches, make sure you have safe product, and we won't have any problems with that?
Matt, did you understand what the question was?
I think I did. Correct me if I'm wrong, but really just kind of what my background is, and then also being able to illustrate how we're going to make a safe product for the area. Is that correct?
Yeah. So what government bodies and the like have oversight over top of you?
Sure, absolutely. So it's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a great thing for the consumer that there's more oversight in this area than I could have ever imagined. There are roughly 29 permits that we're working through our legal team just to get this going through. And when I say our legal team, they specialize in helping distilleries and breweries open up. They are the Warp Wing that's in Dayton. They were helped represent them, so they know how to work through the TTB and the State Department, and really help us guide us through making sure that we do check off everything. We have to submit everything from our concept idea to the label for every single product, to our full recipe, every ingredient, measurement, amount that's used within that product. They also send a state auditor to come down and investigate the facility, make sure everything is up to code, and they do that frequently. They also, we have to send samples up to the State Department, so they run checks on quality. That is also frequently done. There are many checks that the State Department does, probably more than most industries. With Jim being really understanding a lot of the sciences behind this too. I'll let him speak after I wrap up on kind of his background and maybe how he can also speak to some of the safety measures there. From a business standpoint, we have a few people in place to help us with this. One is a project manager for the last 8 years. I've got spreadsheets and Gantt charts is covering my walls here to help us make sure that we meet our goals and hit our targets. Part of the team that we have together is some of our investors specialize in startups. They're been involved in several aspects of business, so they can really help us put together and continue to build on a solid plan for growth and distribution. We also have contacted a few of sales partners that we've worked with over the years to help us work on distribution. So that's kind of where we put together a solid group from a business standpoint, and the state and legal side for safety and audit for quality assurance of the product is very thorough as well. If you'd like Jim to elaborate on anything further with the product itself, we can, or if that answered your question.
Yeah, I guess, just talk to me a little bit about what assurances of the safety, Jim.
So assurance is on safety,
Okay.
sense of production and quality of material. I thought it was
Yes,
all
sir.
right.
So I'll actually jump in on this one. So one of the things that we're doing a little bit different than a lot of these places do is, instead of running an open flame on a propane system, we're actually gonna be using electrical setups. So we will have no open flame in or around any sort of combustible, is that a word, combustible? Liquid. And, so on top of all that, we have a fire suppression system, kind of in plan, that we would obviously be reviewing with the fire department when we get in there. But like my brother kind of touched on as well when it comes to safety measures, in order for us to actually complete our licensing and permitting to become distillers in an approved distilled spirits production facility, they do actually send down their own reps and have us walk them through the entire process from start to finish. And they more or less sign off on that, as well as, kind of like my brother mentioned as well, our formulas are open to be audited at any point in time, and we have to actually submit a formula. If we change it by heating it up 10 degrees higher than we did last time, and it doesn't match our formula, we fail this audit. So they're constantly auditing and staying on top of all the processes to make sure that all of our safety measures are covered, not only from the production standpoint, but also from the quality and safety of the product that we're creating.
And I think one thing to elaborate on that he mentioned was how we're going to be cooking this. These stills, we have, pressure relief systems in there, so they will not be, there will be an impossibility of them exploding or doing anything like that. The way we're going to be cooking it, as he mentioned, is going to be all electrical, which the fire department really supported that, so we won't have any type of gas, propane that's going to be near anything, and there will be no open flame. So it will almost be like setting your oven to the temperature you'd like to cook it at, and the time. And then there will be also several measures, because the stills that we are going to purchase, and we work with their reps, understand all the safety requirements that they have put in place, because they are a legitimate still. They hand make all their stills, and they have to meet specific requirements. So there's several layers of safety within this system.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any questions? Anybody in the audience? No? Anything?
What proof are they making?
One of the
Legally, they're only
the
allowed
proof
to
of
go
alcohol. So what, your bottle said 110, is that proof or explain the proof?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
ABV.
Yeah, I'll jump on that one. Yeah, so the 110 that was on that was just from part of our concept. We hope to have kind of a range, which a lot of the successful micro distilleries are putting together. They want people to be able to drink it without, passing out on one shot. So we kind of have a range between what we're aiming at, between 80 proof as our basis. So the majority of our alcohol will be about 80 proof, typical bourbon. But to give that respect, we were talking about the old timers, we're looking at maybe having like one set of our corn recipe being a little bit higher, a little more traditional towards like the 120, 130, just kind of as that souvenir kind of aspect of it. But to answer your question in short, the majority of them will be between about 80 proof in average.
Yeah, we found that out. There's a reason why bourbon and most high volume selling spirits are around the 80 proof. And yeah, again, we want to make a good product, and we want repeat business. So you're not going to buy too many bottles if it's at 120 proof, because you're not going to drink that much of it. So being able to get that product turnover, having it in that competitive range of that 80 to slightly higher proof, that's where the average consumer prefers to have their proof for alcoholic beverages. So yeah, the 110 is just a concept of how we're playing with that. So.
Okay, anything else? Jason, anything?
Not for them, no.
Okay, all right. Okay, James and Matt, thank you for your presentation, we appreciate that. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to close the public meeting at
public hearing and reopen our regular meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah.
Okay, now we're back on our regular meeting. Any other comments or questions about this rezoning?
The only question I have is, opening up 2709, are we putting ourselves in any other exposure? I mean, I know we had something like this that was proposed out at Hidden Valley, Hidden Valley.
Ultimately, the current B1 is 2709, so everything that
Right.
can occur on the property is that. What the request today is to add one additional use, which is the distillery. The way in which the zoning commission went about it is capped it at a brew pub so that the 10,000, with less than 10,000 gallons a year is their rationale for wanting it that. So it wasn't going to be a major distribution and distillery location. But you've not opened up anything else other than, the brew pub allows it as a restaurant and a drinking establishment through that. It doesn't allow additional bar to be established, doesn't allow additional restaurants to be established beyond what is identified in the B1. So it's not opened up for everything, so this is specific. And if you need to have more clarity, if you say, hey, I'd rather it be just a distiller, let's use that word, and we want to cap it at this amount of production so it functions like a brew pub, that is something that you can play with through the uses, if that's where you have concerns.
I feel like that wording doesn't fit what this is.
Well, that's why I started off with, we have an M1, which is alcohol bottler, which is big time production, and then we have the other, we went through this modification for restaurants and how we did food and bars, a year, probably 2 years ago.
Right.
Type of thing, we didn't know where to put it, and this is ultimately where it came out. So if truly you want to come back to the essence of the applicant, I want to do a distillery, okay? A distillery is that in there. This is your cap on production, so that it truly fits within the brew pub element, more of a general business use, as opposed to being an industrial use, unless there's.
I don't have a problem with it at all. In fact, there's a facility like this near my parents in South Carolina, very much like this. So I understand the concept 100%. I know the state of Ohio is a little tougher to deal with than the state of South Carolina, but different conversation.
Yeah.
I just wonder if we need to define that a little more clearly, Ed.
As long as we've got the cap on the gallons that they're able to hold on that facility at one time, I'm pretty comfortable with that. They're not going to turn it into a huge warehousing.
Right. I guess I just felt like the term brew pub is a little broad for what
Yeah,
this
so
is.
if you take number 8 and strike that, put in distillery, put a cap for the number of gallons, would that be what we're trying to actually do?
I'm just making sure that, I feel like that's what I'm just discussing, what the options are. I get their expansion plans, and that's certainly something that can be under, if it needs to be that broad to be able to cover those bases. I just don't want it to be that broad and have, the interpretation continue to get abused and I don't mean continue to get abused.
No, it
begin to get abused.
has the potential to do so. And with the PUD, you have the ability to put conditions to make sure it stays within the box that you feel is appropriate, and seeing if that is an appropriate box.
And that's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
We're keeping it inside the box. And if someone else came on to do the same thing, they just have to do and do it through a PUD.
Right.
And we're going to be able to control them also.
I just want to make sure we're not opening that can of worms up. So if this verbiage does that, then I'm fine with it.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve or deny 5222, changing the zone, the stage 1 at this location from a B1 PUD to an NR PUD, and dispense with the second reading? I think that's what we're after.
Yeah, that's the request this evening, if I'm understanding, your one that
Including leaving 8 in.
So 8 as brew pub is the current discussion. Okay. Did I understand where we're at, sir?
Okay. Is there a motion to that effect?
I will make a motion to that effect.
To approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Further discussion?
Mr. Mearsfall?
Yeah, I just want to make an explanation. I think there's, you know, lots of good reasons to have this. I think there's a significant number of families in the township that would not think this is a good thing. It would not be something that would be beneficial for family. And, you know, although, you know, there's lots and lots of pluses, I'm going to have to vote no just to represent those people that would not think this is a good idea.
Okay.
You ready to call the roll, sir?
Yeah, call the roll.
All right. Mr. Mearsfall?
Nay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. Okay, motion is approved. All right, very good. Moving on
You need to come back and just give me a call, okay? So you guys got approved. If you have any questions, give me a call.
Excellent.
All right.
Okay, thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wade.
Okay, moving on to fiscal officer report.
Yes, sir, I have the bills to pay, minutes to sign, and also our bank reconciliation. And other than that, that's all I have for this evening.
Okay, very good. Anybody have any questions of fiscal officer? Moving on to public comment. Any public comment out there? And hearing none, moving on to new business administration with resolution 5223, a resolution authorizing the township administrator to enter into personal service agreements with Elite Computers on behalf of Cliff Creek Township.
So Elite Computers has been our managed services provider since 2015. We've built a good relationship with them. They do pretty good work. They're pretty responsive most of the time. Changing the payment structure from an hourly rate to a flat rate per month for them. And also that ensures that they're getting a little bit of a bump since they haven't had one in 5 years. Doug's well worth the money. He does a pretty good job for us. So overall, it's a good way to control spending and to budget annually if you're on a flat rate. And we'll of course monitor it just to make sure that we're not getting, let's say, getting the best value that we can for our flat dollar.
Well, isn't it safe to say since we've had him here, things have just been a whole lot better?
They are.
Yeah, he's saving us about $5,000 to $10,000 right now installing our cameras at our station. Yeah, I mean, just going above and beyond, helping us rent equipment, installing it, run the wire, and, you know, a lot of stuff above and beyond what an IT person does.
Okay.
Most IT companies would have contracted out the kind of wiring that he's doing, that they're doing down at Station 21 right now. So,
And for our size organization, he's really bringing a high level of expertise to.
well, it's perfect because it's a two-person company. So you don't have any problem finding somebody to hold accountable.
Right. For sure. Okay, any other questions about resolution 5223, which, by the way, this includes to dispense with the second reading?
Correct.
Make sure to point that out. Is there a motion to approve 5223?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsfall?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. And unless there's something else come up, please, just anything, Chief?
Mr. Gabbard and I had a conversation about the law enforcement side of the COVID-19 issue. I just wanted to brief the board a little bit. Through each one of the governor's various ways he's opening things up, we get a lot of phone calls about who's in compliance, who's not in compliance. Various neighbors saying that my next-door neighbor's putting a roof on, is that compliant, this vendor's doing this, vendor's doing that. Currently, we have a situation going on with our vendor permit issue in the township. We've got a company that wants to go door-to-door during the middle of this, and they're asking for 22 vendor permits from their personnel to go door-to-door. So we've been kind of having to field those complaints and determine whether or not there's something we need to do or not do. The police departments in the county kind of collectively took a stance that as those that came in, we would report any potential violation to the health department, because this is a health department rule coming out of the state and into our local county. So we have forwarded some of those to them. On the current issue of the transient vendor issue, we have asked today the health department their opinion on whether or not that business qualifies as a essential business, and whether or not they can qualify for the appropriate masking and so forth, going door to door and following some of those rules. We had an event in the last week locally in one of the subdivisions where Officer Schragi was just on regular patrol, was out talking to an individual at Silver Lake, at the lake there, just chatting with him. As he got in his police car, a ATV came up through there on the roadway. He stopped that ATV because it wasn't compliant on the street yet. Talked to the individual and said, hey, you need to make this compliant. Matter of fact, I have the paperwork back in the office. I can go get a copy of that, bring it back to you. It'll talk to you about golf carts and so forth and how to make this compliant to be street legal. He came back to the police department, got that form, actually drove it back out to our citizen and to his house. And apparently there were some people out in the front yard, and they were just talking. It wasn't really any kind of violation issue. But he got out and handed the gentleman a piece of paper relative to how to make that compliant to be able to use on the street. And it was mistaken that we had given somebody a ticket for having a group, and I think there was some issues that rose out of that. So there was no ticket issued. It was one of our officers actually going above and beyond, helping somebody out for something just kind of non-related. So that's just kind of the history of where we're at. Each order brings more phone calls as to who's compliant, who's not compliant. So we just been weeding through those. So just want to give you guys a heads up in case you're hearing stuff out in the community about what are we doing, what are we not doing. We've made the health department aware of some issues. If they push those back down as a violation, we'd certainly assist them or look at any charges necessary. But I just want to see if you guys had any questions about it, or if you had anything else in particular you wanted to ask about it, sir.
No, I brought this up to John. The person that he's talking about reached out to me, and I think it's a lesson in what we do. First of all of our first responders are doing a great job. I've gotten a lot of compliments, and I felt like this is a situation. Usually, if I get a complaint, I know there's going to be an explanation that will likely debunk it, if not make it seem silly, and that's what this was. This was one of our officers going above and beyond to help a resident become compliant with their vehicle. It was a Gator, I think.
Yeah.
Friend of mine, neighbor to these folks, where they ended up all social distancing in the driveway, looked out the window and saw this happen. Assumed it was a ticket, sent me a fairly terse email, or text, excuse me. So as soon as I got a hold of John, we kind of cleared it all up. So the lesson is, our residents need to make sure and understand what we are doing out there, and that's kind of why I wanted John to bring it up at the meeting, because I don't know what people get charged with. Is there something in ORC that has changed that they can do these things? I mean, I've got friends in Michigan where they're getting tickets for being in boats and things of that nature, and they were. So I just wanted him to explain it and commend the officer for doing something that we could all three probably use, since we all three have vehicles like that. I do too. So, but just something that popped up that I thought, you know what, I told John, let's bring that up in the meeting.
Good information. That's too bad.
And on the backside of it, we've had no charges for anybody at any point to this point, so kudos to the public for making.
Good. Well, they don't come back my driveway, so it's all good.
Probably can't get there for the quad of Amazon trucks.
The box was there today, yeah. Matt stopped out after we had an accident last week, and I said that's the first Amazon truck to pass my driveway in the last 3 weeks without turning in, so he informed me I'd be in violation of our new ordinances. Maybe it was a little self-serving, I don't know. Anyway.
Steve, you have anything? Agenda items?
Business as usual. Runs are starting to pick up a little. They were really hitting hard, and then they kind of died. Everybody went home and just stayed there, and now people are starting to roam more, so we're picking up a little bit. Yeah, you know, as you learn more and more about the virus, you know, you become more and more confused. That's the thing with a new virus. I've learned that if you talk to anybody that tells you they know what's going on, they don't know what's going on. It's ever evolving.
Yep, they have a different opinion every day.
Oh, boy.
Jeffrey, anything?
I have nothing that, I will answer questions, I have nothing to add at this point.
Okay. Scott, anything from Roads and Parks?
No, sir, we're business as usual, just some added precautions.
Very good. We do have the consent agenda, which we've already decided we have nothing to remove or change. So is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay?
Mr. Lee?
Yeah. And really, that's really it. Anybody have any comments, Matt, or anything else you need to bring up?
We had tentatively planned on doing an executive session to cover what we were gonna do about people's compensation if we were still stay at home, but since the governor eased the restrictions, we're mighty glad to be back effective this past Monday, so
Thank goodness.
we don't need the executive session.
Very good. Anything further from anybody else? Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Gabbard?